Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview some of the most successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today, I'm joined by Linda McKissack, who's a best-selling author, speaker, coach, and she teaches others the power of building passive income through real estate investing, so buy and hold. She's also the owner of several brokerages that do over $60 million a year in volume. And as we sit here in 2015, it's really perfect timing to talk about building passive income so someday you don't have to work so hard. And Linda is a pro at that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Linda, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's always funny, and it's great. What some folks don't know is you're probably 10 miles away from me right now. I interview people all over the country and even all over the world sometimes, but you're actually not that far away.
Absolutely. We're going to have to get together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining today, and Happy New Year.
Absolutely. Happy New Year to you, too. I love New Year's.
Yeah, it's a time to kind of start over and reevaluate what we're doing and try to find ways to improve in the future for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Linda, it's a great topic. Both of us understand the power of buying and holding real estate and building passive income. And that's really the reason why I think most people get into this business. I don't think most get in it to be a wholesaler. I think if they're wholesaling or rehabbing even, I think most do that to be able to keep some on the side and build that passive income up. But
right.
Before we dive into that, though, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us your background and how you got into real estate investing?
Okay, absolutely. Well, it was the late 80s in Texas. If you were here, you probably remember the big crash. Mm-hmm. We the oil industry, the real estate industry, and savings and loan all crashed, felt like basically in one day. And I'm very young at that point. I think I'm in my early 20s. I don't even know what the word economy means, much less whether it's good or bad. Right. But my husband had been in the restaurant and nightclub business. And I was in the middle of going to college, trying to figure out what I could do. I tried a lot of jobs, couldn't make a lot of money. Yeah. But I'm a real hard worker. I come from a family of hard workers. So I was in the process of trying to figure out what can I do to make good money? Who am I? What can I do? What are my strengths? And so on the side, I was helping my husband at his restaurants and nightclubs. And all of a sudden, the market crashed. And so the savings and loans and everything, when it crashed, bankers got nervous and they started calling notes due.
Right.
And so my husband came. I knew something was wrong because he didn't want to sleep at night. He'd just want to stay up all night. And come to find out, it's because the bankers start calling first thing in the morning. Yeah. So he would eventually say to me, I need your help. We're $600,000 upside down in debt. And I need you to help me figure out a way to get out of it. And I said, that's great. I'm a hard worker, but so far nothing I've been able to do is kind of thrown off that kind of money. What do you think I should do? And in his wisdom, he looked at me and said, well, someone told me a long time ago that if you want to make a lot of money, real estate's the way to do it. We laugh today because the guy probably meant buy and invest in real estate because It's made more millionaires than a lot of things, right?
Right.
But come to find out, Jim thought I should go sell real estate. So that's what I did. I went and got my real estate license, started actively selling. Worked really, really hard, 60, 80 hours a week. And then one day I actually kind of woke up and realized that the last day I made my last sale would be the last dollar I'd ever make. And so we needed to figure out some way to have money coming in for in the future when we didn't either want to work or didn't want to work as hard, right. Or just wanted to do something else. And so that kind of became our first kind of motivation. And we really very quickly realized there's only three ways to build wealth. It's either businesses, real estate or stocks, and we stink at stocks. So whatever we buy, don't buy it and you'll be good probably. But for real estate, it seemed like something that we could learn, especially being involved in real estate. We didn't know about the investing side of it at the time, and that's what we chose first. We eventually would choose businesses also, but we got to reading every book we could about investing, real estate investing, and just really kind of submerged ourselves in trying to figure out how do you invest. Right. And so that's kind of was our first reason for investing, was we needed to create, I think we made $250,000 was our goal. We said we want to make $250,000 someday coming in passively. And then we just worked the numbers backwards. How many houses would we have to buy? How much money would they need to bring in when they're free and clear? And my husband I think he was almost 40 when we bought our first house, and I was in my 30s. And so he wanted to have some money coming in by the time he was 65. I had a little bit longer. So we just set his date as our deadline and said, look, we want $250,000 coming in by this date. And so that means we got to buy this many houses. We gave ourselves 5 years to do it. And that kind of started our original plan. We had a big problem, though, because our problem was we didn't have any money. We were upside down in debt.
Right.
Couldn't go get any money. So I came home with my first deal and said, I found a deal. I'm really excited. And he said, that's great. How are we going to pay for it? And so I said, well, I don't know. That's a problem, but let me think about it. And so I put my entrepreneurial hat on, and I remembered a gentleman who was a builder locally in town. And I said, I'm going to go ask Lou, and I think Lou will do it with me. And so sure enough, went and asked Lou, told him I thought we could make $15,000. So it's kind of funny. Our first house was actually a flip.
Yeah. But
I said, I think we can make $15,000 pretty quick, and I'll throw in my commission if you'll go get the money at the bank, and we'll be partners on it. And that's what we did. Okay. So we did a total of 3 houses with him as a partner, and the other 2 we kept. And eventually, when we split our partnership, we took one of the houses, he took the other. We still have that house today. We laugh because Jim got his Social Security notice, and I think it was $1,300 a month or something he could take if he took it at a certain age.
Right.
And we laugh because that one house is free and clear today and has been for many years, and it's pays $2,200 a month.
Wow!
So it's way better than the Social Security plan.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah.
We didn't have any money, we had limitations, but there's always an answer. There's always a solution to whatever your issue is or your obstacle is, and we just looked for an answer for that. And so fast forward. We have 106 residential properties now. Great. We have 5 commercial buildings, and we have 11 nightly rentals in Branson, Missouri. So we've come a long way. We've way surpassed the 250 goal, but at least that goal kind of gave us a plan to work and something to shoot for. And so now we kind of get a thrill out of, we've written the book Hold a couple of years ago on how to find, buy, and rent real estate to build long-term wealth. And now we're kind of working on some ways that we can help other people do some of the things that we've done.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. What you say, I know that it was a struggle because I know what you say. I found myself, I actually was at a wedding the other night and talking to a bunch of, it was a real estate guy. So there was a bunch of real estate investors there, and we all ended up sitting at the same table and sharing stories and talking about how so many of our friends and family members are interested in what we do, but they just don't do it, and they're just not wired to take that risk, or they don't, even though we've told them exactly what to do, they tend to not get started, and there's some fear there. There's something there that keeps them away.
Yeah.
Because you and I know that you're crazy to not buy and hold real estate.
Well, I think for me, my fear was greater that if I didn't do it, where my income would come from or what my life might look like if I chose not to do it. And I think that's part of the problem sometimes is people don't go out 5, 10, 15, 20 years and kind of look at their life through a video camera and say, if I continue to do what I'm doing, how will I feel about that in 15 years or 20 years? Right. And so I think if we did a little bit more of that, I'll never forget when our book first came out, a young boy that has practically grown up in our house. It really could be the Rich Dad, Poor Dad story all over again. He loves our business side of us, and his parents are academics and very smart people. And I remember her saying to me when the book came out, yeah, but isn't it risky? Isn't it a hassle to have tenants? And I said, yeah, it can be, but it would also be a hassle to be older and have no money coming in,
Right.
or can't work and have no money coming in. So I think it's more about, where do you think about the pain being the greatest? I always say, when the pain is greater, staying where you are, that's when you'll make a move. And so if we don't reflect on what our life will look like, then the pain is never greater. It's always, it's always the things we're thinking about, like the tenants and the risk of the money and all those things.
Yeah, and it is a shame too. I think a lot of people, I don't say a lot of people, there's definitely people that are catching on to the fact that whatever job they have that they think is secure may not be as secure as they thought it was, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I know some people, I'm sure you do too, that do very well. I had another guest on a while back, and he said, I live in a neighborhood with doctors and lawyers and people that make a lot of money, and in the morning I'm coming in from the gym, not planning to go to work for several hours, and I see them rushing off to get to work, because if they don't make money, and I can do whatever I want and I'm still making money.
Yeah, and I think the last crash really woke people up to realize that what you thought was secure really isn't secure.
Right.
And so, I think that was a big wake-up call for a lot of people, and that's really why I believe we're going to have more and more people really understand that until you actually take control of those streams of income, whether it be real estate investing or businesses or whatever you choose, because there's only three, right? I mean, that helped me to know there's not 500 million. There's either learning how to own a business that runs without you, or there's investing in real estate that someone else is paying off your asset for you. And so I think that the last crash really helped people to understand when they lost their savings and their, all their money in the stock market and those kind of things.
Right. Well, talk a little bit about how, as we sit here at the beginning of the year, we kind of talked before we got started, there's a lot of people that are typically using this time of the year to kind of plan and set goals and things like that. And you and I both know that what really matters is executing on those goals. But let's talk a little bit about that, how people can go from, there's some, I know you see this too, so many people that are interested in doing what we're doing, but year after year you talk to them and they never get out of the gate. I mean, what are some of the tips you would give to people on how to, if they want to do this, how to get that first deal under their belt, which really builds a lot of confidence?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of any of our issues, when we don't take action on something that we really know, stems around our beliefs that we hold on to. And so I think a lot of people need to spend time on the front end really connecting with their big why of what will investing in real estate do for me, or what will not investing in real estate do for me.
Right.
And so I always say, if you can start in that area where you really connect to, why would you want to invest in real estate? What will it do for you? Because people take action on emotion and then they justify with logic. And so it's going to be that emotional piece. I know it was for me. The thought of having to work 60, 80 hours a week like I was working in the real estate industry, 20 plus years from that time, or did not appeal to me. It did not sound very good. And so that was really my motivation and my drive to do it in the first place, is to create that, what I felt like was more security, because I'm putting my freedom in my own hands. And so I think people have to connect, whether it's to buy one house to send one of your kids to go to college. There's an emotional thing there. And when we understand what we say yes to, when we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. Or when we say no to something else, we're saying yes to something. And so once they connect those dots, I think it's easier to get over the fear. First of all, I don't think the fear ever necessarily goes away. And so you have to understand everybody has fear. I always say, don't compare your inside to anyone else's outside. We all have insides. Yeah. And so if you look at you or I and say, well, they're braver, or they're smarter, or they're any of those things, you're totally wrong about all of them.
Right.
And I think knowledge helps with alleviate fear. And so, you're going to have to take action even in the face of fear. And so once you kind of understand that, and then you connect the dots on, what do I want this to do for me? And what will it do for me emotionally? Can I send a kid to college that I might not be able to? Can I have some money so I'm not dependent on my grown children someday? I mean, whatever your emotional thing on why you want to do it, whether it's to send a kid to private school, whether it's so one of you can quit your job that you hate, or that you don't want to be tied to. Get connected to that first. And then you're going to get some numbers from that. You're going to say, okay, one house is probably going to be this much money. It's going to throw off this much money passively. Then you can have a plan that you can actually take action on.
Yeah.
But I think we have to connect emotionally first, and then get clarity on what those numbers look like, and then find the guidance you need either through a video course or a book or trainers and teachers that can help you take that next natural step. So don't feel like you're quite all alone.
Yeah. No, I think what a lot of people don't really think about is we just heard your story here, and I'm the same way. I literally 7 years ago had never bought a house in my life other than the one house my wife and I lived in. It just took doing those few deals, and then you kind of move forward. But I always think it's interesting listening to people talk about houses in terms of almost like a currency. Well, it sounds like you need to go do a deal. It sounds like you need 3 rental properties or whatever it is, because that's how we think of it over time. It's like, I'm trying to achieve some level of income or pay for certain things, whatever it is. And that's our currency, I guess, is real estate, right?
Yeah, that's the way we equate things.
Yeah. Well, there's so many people that use, lack of money, don't have the money to do it as a excuse. And in some ways, initially it can be a valid excuse, I guess, but that can't go on forever. And I think you and I probably both know that, gosh, money is so much easier to get today than it was a few years ago. But talk about that a little bit, how some folks that may be listening right now that are thinking, where am I going to get the money at? I don't have the money to even do one deal. Some places they can look or some advice.
Okay. Yeah, it is probably the number one thing. We've been teaching this. We've been teaching our strategy for probably 15 or more years, even before we wrote the book. And so it is something we always get as an objection. And just like in our situation, $600,000 upside down in debt, you can't go to the bank and say, I want to buy an investment property. Yeah. And so you have to put your creative hat on. Sorry, I think we got a fire. Creative hat on and figure out what would be a solution. And I think, like you and I said earlier, people's security was shaken in the last crash. Sure. And so I think there's a lot of people looking for a place for their money. And they're not getting great returns on their money. So I think you have more now than ever the opportunity to find someone with the money. I looked for a relationship that I already knew how they responded about money, already knew that he was fair and ethical. And so that's why I sought him out to be my partner in it. Yeah. He knew I had the knowledge and he trusted me. So that's one way, is to look someone you can partner with. We've got a lot of students that we've taught over the years that go in and do it with their parents because their parents don't know how. And they're starting to wake up and realize, I haven't done anything to prepare for not doing anything and having any money coming in. Yeah. So that's always a great source. A few years ago, we had a group that we were working with, and I really got frustrated that it was always about there's never any money. And so I kind of just did an exercise for a while. I just said, okay, every time I think about going out to dinner, I'm going to put that money in a coffer. And before you know it, I actually had enough money to pay off one of our lowest houses that we had a balance on. And so I thought, if you can do that, we've done automatic payment systems before. My husband teases and says we have the DMD disease, the disappearing money disease. Means if we get money, it's gone. So we knew that about ourselves. And so we had an automatic system on our money that came in commissions. We had our title company take out 15% of every dollar we ever made. And sure enough, just like all the books say, the minute the money's not there, you don't miss it anymore. Right. So you can do an automatic system where the money's automatically taken out. You can find a partner. You can just kind of look for ways that you're already spending the money. Yeah. The money's already there, but it's getting absorbed for something else. And so I always like, trying to just think outside of the box on where could that money come from. So I think that's a few of them, at least, that have worked for us. There's a lot of partnership opportunities in real estate. And I think some people maybe get hung up on, and rightly so, they should. I think I've seen a lot of, you probably have too, a lot of partnerships end badly. So I think you could go into it, though, and not necessarily be partners in the same company, but you could find ways to work together through just kind of more what I'll call like JVs as a transaction by transaction basis. And the reality is, I think for a lot of new people, after they've done a few deals, you have so much more confidence and so much more knowledge on how to do things. If you just use those first few deals that you maybe had to partner on as a stepping stone for a way to get in the business. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on partnerships, one of the great things to do is to go ahead and have an exit strategy for the partnership before you begin the partnership. Yeah. In other words, have a way that it's going to end, or you can end it, or that those things are thought through before you have them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Linda, talk a little bit about, I know you invest in other markets, and what's been interesting to me over the past year of doing the show and meeting so many other real estate investors is I've been more of the classical mind of kind of buying in my market. I'm here in Dallas. All my properties are in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, but there's so many other people that I know now that are investing in lots of different markets, and there's definitely a lot to be said for when a market gets overheated, just go, pick up your ball and go play in another playground somewhere else. But talk a little about that kind of strategy of buying in other markets and how that's easier. I mean, I'm kind of throwing you a softball a little bit here, but
that's okay.
It's become easier than ever because of technology, I think. But just talk a little bit about, that kind of general opportunity of buying in multiple markets.
Right. Well, and we were one of those people like you, Mike. Almost everything we had is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Carrollton, Flower Mound, Louisville, Denton, that location. And a couple of years ago, I did a breakout session with Robert Kiyosaki when he came to town on investing. And there was a lady in the audience. And, we teach on our business side that it's all about the who. I think everything's about the who. I mean, if you're going to get large or you're going to expand, it's about the who, the talent that can help you do that. And so my husband had taught a class here locally at one of our offices, and this woman had come, never introduces herself. I did a breakout with Robert Kiyosaki. She came, never introduced herself. We meet her, I want to say sometime about a year later, and she says, "Oh, hey, I've been to y'all's program and I bought 20 properties, and I'm a stay-at-home mom." And I'm thinking, "Gosh, that's talent."
Yeah.
So I just reached out to her and said, "Hey, well, you know what? You and I are going to be new BFFs. Why don't you and I meet on a regular basis?" Because I'm thinking anybody that's that sharp, you want to get to know them. So we started meeting on a once-a-month basis at Barnes & Noble's, and I said, let's just hold each other accountable for buying investment properties and investing. And she said, great idea. So we started meeting. She kept talking about these cabins in Branson, Missouri, Now, and I've been to Branson. I mean, I'm thinking go-karts, bunch of music. And my kids had gone to Kanakuk Camp before. That part I liked a little bit, but I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm not that crazy about Branson. But one day, about 8 months into the relationship, she says, I've short-sold 2 cabins and I can only buy one. Do y'all want to buy one? So the iciest day of the year, it was in February. Remember the solid ice all across the country. We decided to drive to Branson, Missouri to take a look. So what normally would take us 7 hours took us 14 hours to get there. But when we get there, we fall in love with these cabins and the trees and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. And so we said, we want to do it. So we bought the first cabin. Now we have 11, and we're going up. Matter of fact, we leave Thursday to head back up there to look at a couple of developments that we might do up there. But there was a lot of things that made it okay to do. Number one, she was already managing hers and some other people. So we already had the who in place that could take care of them. And then once we saw the numbers, and we're numbers people, we know how to figure the numbers, scratch them out on a piece of paper. Then we really saw that this would be a great thing for us to invest in. So that's really how we got outside of doing it. Now we've fallen in love with it. We think it's a great market. It's got some great potential, and the nightly rentals are phenomenal. They're great investment properties. And so that's kind of what got us to do Missouri. Now, my husband did buy one house on that TV show that was late at night in Florida with the guy with the ponytail. Said, I can't go to sleep and leave him up anymore, because when I wake up the next morning, he goes, I think I bought a house. But again, that house was bought because it was in Port Charlotte, and his niece had just visited us earlier that year, and she's a retired dispatcher for the police department. And I said to him, she'd be a great property manager. And so those words, their visit, the late night TV, my husband can't sleep. We wound up with one house, I think we have one or two, in Port Charlotte. Yeah. So those are really the only ones that we've done outside, but we also thought we would never really buy anywhere else. And so I think once you get more confidence about investing and you know a lot more, and the pieces kind of fall in place, it's just a next natural step. And that's where, quite honestly, we didn't know at the time that all the foreclosures were going to fall off the way they have. So we were buying foreclosures here, tons of them, and then we were buying in Branson. And so now the foreclosures have fallen way off, but we still got we know more about the opportunity in Branson.
Sure,
so
sure.
It's been a great market of the moment for us.
Yeah, that's great. So do you all manage your own properties here?
We've tried the whole gamut on managing. We have one of the best situations we've ever had right now. We have a baby boomer. He's in his early 70s, great shape, smart guy, has already had one very successful career. If you understand behavior, he's a driver analytical, so he's a DC. So he likes to do it fast and he likes to do it correct.
Yeah.
And so he's been our best we've ever had. We've owned our own property management company, nightmare for me. We've used other property management companies. We've done it all, and this has been the best one we've ever had. He takes care of just only our properties.
Yeah, that's great. I don't manage my own rentals either, and it took some time to find the right person to manage those. But it's funny when I think about buying in other markets potentially, is that I'm not sure if you're the same way that I am, but I've almost made it a point to never drive past a property that I own because I just don't want to know. I mean, I let my manager take care of it, and if there's a problem, I'll find out about it. But there's no reason for me to go looking for problems. And so it's almost like if I don't drive past them, and in almost all my rental properties, I've never been back to them after we bought them and did the initial rehab, with the exception of a couple where we had, this is not at the same time, where we had a fire, like major fire, where it was a total loss and I had to go deal with it. But so it just starts to make you wonder, well, if you're not going to go back to your properties and you feel like you have a competent person managing them, then why is geography a limitation?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you said that, I thought about early on, we would go back to them because you're so excited and so proud about them. And I couldn't even, I probably drive by some that we have that I don't even know we have.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just said we should have thought of this in advance and painted them all the same color. So at least when I drove by, I'd go, oh, I think that's one of ours.
Yeah.
We do have a big map here in our office that kind of helps us see where all the houses are, but to be honest with you, I could probably drive by one and not even remember we have it. We have so many at this point. But I'm like you, I'm always about moving forward, so really no need to go back. So you're right, it doesn't really matter. If you're not going to live there, you can't drive by there anyway.
Right. So we've got just a few minutes left here, and I know that I wish we could talk for more time because I know there's a bunch of stuff we haven't covered yet. But maybe just take a few minutes and talk about some of the stuff we haven't covered yet that you think is really critical to help people get started, or even if they've gotten started, to kind of build up their portfolio.
Okay. Well, I think one thing that's been really important for us is we're real simple people. That's why I always say what I hope to leave everybody with is for them to say, gosh, if they can do it, I know I can do it too. Because, we're real simple. We don't use complicated formulas. Our approach is real simple. But I think part of people's fear is they have heard horror stories of people losing their money. And when you look at our simple formula, we never are over leveraged in a property. And so there's these safety measures that if you have those, because I think what happens is people get confused between speculating and investing, and speculating is different. Right. It's more of a gamble. It's more of a risk. And what we teach and what we profess is truly investing. And that means you have a formula, you know what you're looking for, you have your ideal product that you're looking for, and you don't let anything veer you off of that. You don't buy because something's going to be a good deal someday. It's either a good deal today when we buy it or we don't buy it at all. Right. And so I think if you can find a real simple, and this is another passion that I have, is I think sometimes real estate investing gets a very bad rap because I don't know if it's all the many years of zero down and all that stuff. And, I always say, if that's what you're looking for, we're not it. Right. Because we've never been able to do that approach. We can't do that approach. But if you're looking for something that's simple and that's safe because you know what you're doing and you're making sure all the stop gaps are in, it's a good deal when you buy it. You're not buying for appreciation. Appreciation is a bonus or icing on the top. And you have those formulas and you know the product you're looking for. It really moves people into a place where they feel a lot more comfortable. We've bought in every market. And you know what? A property that we've held, we've never lost money on. We have lost money on flips before. Yeah. We, misevaluated or whatever. But with a hold, time has fixed almost any issue we could ever have. And so if you're not over leveraged in them, we always have a 70 to 30 loan to value ratio. So there's a couple of real simple things that we stick with. I never let my husband go to an elderly couple's house because he always pays too much, So we have these little things that we stick with. But I think if people will realize that there's a difference between speculating and investing, and you're going to learn to be an investor. And that means it's going to take you time. Right now is the perfect time to spend time and money on books and energy and courses, because the market is a little harder to find. So you could use this time, and it always turns. It always does.
Sure.
And there's always good deals out there. There's always, unfortunately, divorce, drugs, all those unfortunate things that people get themselves into that will cause a good deal to be there. But you can do that preparation and learn as much as you possibly can now, so that when you are ready, you can take that step a little more confidently.
Yeah. Great. Well, Linda, thanks so much for your time today. If folks want to learn more about you, I know you do some coaching and you have a lot of great information that you put out. Where should they go?
You can go to lindamckisack.com, and you'll have all of our information there. We even have some free things on there that you can take advantage of, and we do some podcasts and things that you can listen to. So
fantastic. Well, hey, thanks again so much for your time today, and hopefully we'll cross paths really soon in person.
Sounds good, Mike. I'd love to. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.